and with asking for an aye vote.
Madam Secretary, please call. Members, this may be eligible for unanimous roll call. Is there any objection to using the unanimous roll call on this? Any objection to using the unanimous roll call? Not very many of us here, so maybe that's a way to do it. I'm just kidding. Ayes 38, no 0. This measure passes. We're going to move on to
Hello, everybody. My name is Jennifer McQueen, and I am here with Windi Eklund. Hello, Windi.
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, everybody.
Windi, of course, is the founder of Legislation Take Action and Homeschool Concierge. You can follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and of course, find them online at homeschoolconcierge.com. Today, specifically with the /legislation, because we are giving you our newest legislation update. Okay, so really quick, AB and SB 167, they showed up over Labor Day, as we all know, and then they were rushed to be heard on the floor on Tuesday. So we thought we were going to have until Friday to fight them, but they were actually heard again yesterday. All right, so SB 167 was moved to the inactive file, but AB 167 passed. So Windi, touch a little bit real fast. Why were there even two, and how does one get moved to the inactive and one gets passed?
So these budget trailer bills and budget bills are often dumped into bills that are already traveling through both sides of the House. So the AB bill, the AB 167, was actually over on the Senate side, and the SB 167 bill was actually over on the Assembly side. So what the reason that they do that is to help them move through, I'm choking, is to help them move through faster, and with just to get them through all the way quickly, because you know they have deadlines for getting budgets approved. And as you also know, the last day of this legislative session for the summer, the last day of the legislative session is tomorrow. So they had to have it approved by tomorrow. So it was in committees, and then suddenly it was just approved in one day in both houses on the floor.
Okay, so I watched the video that you posted of the hearing, and it was appalling, and it was shameful to see, one, how nobody was even there to actually vote, and two, how they legitimately joked about how there really wasn't anybody there to vote. So talk to us about, how did this even happen? What even occurred?
Well, I think the first problem is that we have a supermajority. So nobody was there. The room was literally empty. They brought the bill forward. They said they needed to vote on it. And then she looked around the room and joked, does anyone have any problem with us using a roll count vote, which is a predetermined, all of the Democrats are voting yes, and all of the Republicans are voting no, and they pass it right through that way. And she literally joked, there's nobody here to oppose us using the roll call vote. And so they literally passed it through with, I think maybe it looked like there was 3 people in the room. So please watch the video so you can see how our legislators are being paid taxpayer money to represent us, but they are not in the room, and they are complaining constantly that our charter schools are not being responsible with taxpayer money. Is this the kettle calling the, whatever it's called? What's that saying, Jennifer? The kettle calling
the pot calling the kettle black.
Yes, the pot's calling the kettle black. Like, really? This is all taxpayer money, right?
And I feel like despite this being the issue at hand that we're discussing, that put aside, just seeing the way these policymakers are making decisions and the way things are being finalized and voted on, it was, like I said, I almost feel like it's a disrespect to the position.
Well, how many of us called our legislators' offices? How many of you talked to your senator? How many of you talked to your assembly member or their staff? And their staff was legitimately concerned about the language you were bringing forth and how it was going to impact your child. None of those people showed up to talk about it when they had the chance, when it was on the floor in their respected Senate or assembly. So Yeah, these people are paid to represent you, and they're not representing you. They're not even there representing anybody at this point. They literally weren't in the room.
Absolutely. I know I, for one, come Monday morning, will be calling my representative and asking them why they were not present. Okay.
Right.
So
well, even on the assembly side, Jennifer, I watched the assembly side, and they did a lot of patting each other on the back. There were people there to discuss it. They did a lot of patting each other on the back for some contents within the bill. Like we said, it's 154 pages. There's some talk about some curriculum that they're adding that people were very happy about, and that's great. But nobody brought up any issues that parents were calling into their offices and asking about. It was like, oh yeah, we did a great job. We got this budget passed. We did a great job, and just passed it right through.
Okay, well, that is the reality of it. And, I have found that it's almost like if you don't actually take the time to listen into the hearing,
right,
you won't ever know any of this. You can't Google it. You can't web search it. You have to actually take the time to listen to the hearings, which, like we had mentioned before, we know you do. Okay, so talk to us.
Well, this week I was actually leading to not back to school things, and so I wasn't actually home to listen live, and I had to go back and listen. And yeah, it was super appalling this week, and I think it's because they think they're in a hurry, but they still need to do their job appropriately and fairly.
Yes, 5,000%. And I think we all definitely can agree. Okay. I have heard a lot of questions, a lot of confusion, which rightly so, because in my opinion, that is the intention. I feel that they do intentionally write this language to make it confusing. I had mentioned to you, rewind to your and my first conversation. I literally understood nothing. I didn't even understand what you were trying to say to me half the time, when we were talking about with the actual, the language that they use. I needed you to really break it down for me. So yes, maybe now it makes more sense to me, but it is very intentional. I have found they make it so that they don't want people to really understand. They make nothing very clear. They're not going to put anything right in front of your face. They are going to force you to read between the lines, to catch all their nuanced statements. So I have heard a lot of questions about, is the synchronous time going to be required? Is this a permanent change? When is this going to start? All these sorts of questions. So what can we expect in the future now that this has passed? And I will say the biggest one is about the synchronous instruction requirements. So talk to us about that.
So I think we all need to take a step back and look at what happened with AB 130, which we all know the governor and the Department of Finance was working behind closed doors with the legislative leaders to talk about what their intentions were, to make a plan on how they were going to hurt charter schools, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they do that behind closed doors, and we don't know that it's happening. And then they pass it through super fast. This was actually even faster than AB 130. And remember, Jennifer, we were warning people, this language is coming. It's going to drop into a bill. We were calling our legislators' offices saying this language is coming. And they're like, no, unless you have a bill number, it's not happening. And we're like, yes, it is. And sure enough, it did. So this is the same thing. So we can't just look at what the language is in the bill. We have to know what their intentions were behind putting in this language, because they use language that is confusing. And then they have these meetings behind closed doors. Remember, the CDE was already prepping for meetings to tell schools and districts how to implement what was coming with AB 130 when AB 130 was not even in print. So the CDE, who has to put all of this into action, already knew it was coming. So full well they had a conversation and they knew what was expected. So I know that we're hearing that people think, oh no, the synchronous learning isn't going to be required. But the bill says that the education code is amended to read. That's not like, oh, this is a temporary fix. This is an amendment to permanent education code. And it says that the synchronous learning is required those certain days of a week. So remember with AB 130, we were like, oh yeah, it looks like the schools are required to offer it, but the students don't have to partake in it. This seems to be taking it a step further. Now, I hope we're wrong. I hope I'm misreading. I'm hoping that those legislators suddenly have decided they don't hate our children. I hope that I'm wrong, but what it looks like to me is that they're going to be required to do the synchronous learning, which of course can still be online. It doesn't have to be in person, but it looks like it will be about, what did I say? So the 4th through 12th graders have to partake about 2.4 times in a month, because remember the requirement for them was that it only had to be offered once a week. So to make that 60%, it's about 2.4 times. So I don't know how they're going to get the 0.4 times in there. And then the TK through 3rd grade students would have to partake 3 times a week, because their synchronous requirement for offering the synchronous learning was every single day. So I hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong, but I think that they wrote this bill to further clarify what their intentions were, and with them adding that as a requirement in the amended ed code, we'll see. And again, the schools do wait until they hear from the CDE and their lawyer teams, and like CCSA, CSDC, and those entities. So like Jennifer and I, we're not lawyers. We're homeschool moms who have taken it upon ourselves to share this information. So if we're wrong, we will be happy to be like, yes, we were wrong.
No, 100%. And I go right along with that. My perspective completely aligns. I am just a homeschool mom. I don't have a degree. I'm not getting paid for this in any way. This is just a very passionate interest of ours, mine. And I'm happy to have linked up with you so that we can put out as much information as possible. I know a lot of people don't want to sit there and watch those hearings, and a lot of people don't want to read all the text in those 154 pages. But if there's somebody who is willing to do it, why not share our takeaway from it? Okay, so I would also like to say I do enjoy the Facebook comments and all the questions, because it really gives us something to talk about, something to consider that we need to address. So please keep the comments coming. We like to know what's on your minds, what you're thinking, and what we can look into and hopefully try and clarify. Okay, so I do want to say that we all are kind of getting tired of these constant attacks and this constant legislation popping up last minute that are really trying to close down our schools. So it's kind of like a Band-Aid. We just keep fighting back against each piece of legislation as it comes. But I feel, and I think Windi would agree, that there is definitely a big picture, long goal kind of a way that we can go about this as well, to sort of get ahead of the game and fight back against legislation in the future. Windi and the amazing people at Homeschool Concierge are offering a free workshop called Preparing to Lead, Run for Office. It's going to be hosted by Windi herself, and she will be speaking with Gary Davis. It's going to be on Saturday, September 18th at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can register now on the website. You'll get everything you need to know about how to run for office. You'll get tips, tricks, strategies. I mean, you're going to get a chance to talk to an expert. So this could be the little bit of encouragement or the push that you may need to consider running for office. I know I will be there. I am registered. I will be logged on and attending and finding out everything that I need to know to get a start. So I hope to see everybody there. Okay, Windi, before we give all the contact information, is there anything else that we need to add?
I can't think of anything, but I definitely want to encourage you to at least come to our meeting and see if running for office is something you'd want to do. I don't personally think that it's that hard and that we should do it. If you love your kids and you love our community, then you should, run for office. We teach ourselves all kinds of things. I think we covered this in our last video, Jennifer, that I think any of us could do it. A lot of these legislators were parents, were school teachers, and they got into it, and now they're trying to destroy our charter schools. So why can't we do it too?
That's right.
We can protect our charter schools. Yes.
All right. So to make sure you are updated on everything, because as this unfolds and as things pop up, of course, we're always trying to stay as much as possible. And I say we, and by that, I mean Windi, but we will bring you all the updates you need to know. So make sure you're following Legislation Take Action on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, you can also find them online at homeschoolconcierge.com/legislation. And of course, if you have additional questions, you can always contact Windi. Her phone number is right there. Please feel free to call or text her with any questions you have. Okay, so you don't miss any of our future videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel At the Table with Jennifer McQueen. You can always email me as well at thetablejm@gmail.com, and follow me on all social media at just_Jennifer13. Okay, thank you so much, Windi. I'm sure we'll be
Oh, I
back.
thought of something.
Yes.
I just wanted to remind everyone that this is already passed both the Senate and the Assembly. That means the governor has to sign it. I assume he signed it today or will sign it tomorrow. So there's nothing really more we can do about it here. And then people keep asking if it's immediate. And yes, I don't see anything in it that says it's starting in the future. It's amending the education code right now, this part of it. So there are other parts of it. Part of the funding thing starts retroactive to September 1st. So parts of the bill are starting in the past. So just so you guys know that it will be a law probably in the next day or two.
Yes, so that means all of you that are currently in the process of re-signing your master agreements because of AB 130, pretty soon you'll be signing again because of AB 167.
Oh, hopefully you won't have to re-sign. I hope not.
Oh,
They'll just
goodness.
make you do that synchronous learning. Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Windi, for your time as always.
Thank you, Jennifer, for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye.